Everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Rose and it has been a long time. Long time no see is what they say. So I decided to do another update video and kind of like tell you what's been going on with me, work, and then also how it has been teaching middle school. Now that it has been a couple of months, my feelings have definitely changed, and so I wanted to share that with you all. Just get on here and do a simple video because I have not been on YouTube in so long. So if you are willing to stay and watch the video, kind of get an update, and again, here's some of my thoughts about what I have been doing that has helped me teach middle school, then please make sure that you watch this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. If you're new, hi, what a random video to watch for the first time if you're being introduced to my channel, but definitely check out my other content. I have a lot of information about teaching, strategies, activities, classroom management. A lot of it is geared toward high school, and I'm noticing that a lot of those strategies have to be different for middle school. So hopefully I have some time during the break to really sit down and film some things that I've learned. So first things first, let's get into where I have been. So you all know that this year I started a new position, which is teaching 6th grade social studies. My whole career I've taught high school. So although I'm also teaching high school this year too, I have 2 classes for high school and 4 classes for 6th grade. So I'm kind of all over the place. I definitely feel like an octopus at this new school, and coming back from teaching remotely and now being in the building is a huge transition. And I'm someone that takes a really long time to get used to change. I avoid change by any means necessary. So even getting a new job and leaving my previous school, that was in and of itself a really big deal for me. And I don't think that I really processed how difficult it would be for me to transition into this new school. There have been many parts of it that have been very easy as far as leadership and staff. Everyone is so great and so supportive at the school, so that has been helpful. But it's been difficult to adjust to the schedule. It's so fast-paced at this school because the periods are shorter, 45 minutes. At my old school, they were 56. And those extra 10 minutes, they do make a difference. So that's the bulk of the reason why I have been off of YouTube, is because I've really just been focusing my time and my energy on planning these 6th grade lessons. Again, I think I mentioned this in another video. I feel like a new teacher in so many ways when it comes to how much time I'm spending on lesson planning, making sure that my learning objective is connected to my exit slip, it's connected to my activity. So many things that, again, are so basic when it comes to lessons, but with 6th grade you have to focus so much on skill building, and so I have really spent a lot of my time making sure that the skill that I'm saying I want my students to work on that day is actually the skill that they are working on. It's so easy to say students are analyzing, and then you look at your assignment and it's like, no, they're more summarizing. So really making sure that the skill that I want the students to focus on is the skill that we're doing for that day is taking a lot more time to create than normal. But I'm pushing through. We have a couple of more days until the holiday break, and so I'm so close to not having to set an alarm clock. So that's really the first thing. The second thing is, as you guys know, we moved into our new apartment and it is pretty much fully furnished. I think the last time I showed you guys an update of the apartment, we didn't even have curtains. It was just crazy. I had like mismatched dining room tables. So there's a lot that has been updated. I think it looks so good in here. It feels cozy, but it still feels like fancy. I don't know. I really love the style that we have put together. Very contemporary, but also very traditional at the same time. So really just putting things together for the apartment, making it feel more lived in and making it feel like it's a place for us to rest. I've been focusing a lot of my weekends on just cleaning and setting up furniture and going to pick out furniture. So usually on the weekend I would film, but unfortunately that is not happening if we are out and about trying to just get settled in for the apartment. So apartment, work, And then the last thing was, which is I'm not going to focus a lot of time on, but I was getting extremely stressed because I am losing a lot of my hair. So, you know, your hair is in many ways, at least for me, my security blanket. I had really, really long hair, luscious, smooth. But I think because I had COVID in August and then I had to like get the vaccine for school, the time period was really, really close together. And I think that that just really took a toll on my hair loss. So as of right now, I just haven't been feeling like 100% confident. And again, on camera, it looks good, but I have like all my hair pushed to the front. Usually I would have like some in the back, some in the front, but this is all the hair I have. And it's falling out a lot in chunks, which I didn't anticipate, especially for someone like myself. My hair rarely falls out. I'll have moments where I'll have breakage, of course, but falling out in chunks in like specific sections, I've never experienced that before. So that really was like stressing me out. And then obviously the more I think about it, the more stress, and then stress and hair loss are connected as well. So it's been a vicious cycle. I have been starting to take supplements, and I've also ordered Vegamore or Vegamore. I don't know how to pronounce it. But I've ordered like all of their stuff: shampoo, conditioner, their hair oil, their serum, whatever they have available, I have purchased it. So I'm waiting for that to come in. And hopefully once I start that journey, I'll be able to take photos and keep track of the hair growth. Fingers crossed that there is some type of hair growth. And the supplements that I have been using are Nutrafol. So we'll see. Everything says about 3 to 6 months to really see full results. So using all of those things at the same time, I'm hoping that I will see a lot of progress even sooner, because washing my hair and taking a shower, it used to be such a peaceful experience, and now I dread it because I don't want to see my hair fall out. So that has really been the most recent thing, honestly, where I felt like I could film, then that just started happening within the last 2 weeks. And again, it's something I've never experienced before. I've never had hair fall out to this extent, and coming out like all in the same place. So yeah, it was just freaking me out. I mean, it's still freaking me out again every time I shower. So those are the 3 main things for why I haven't really been filming. And then of course, on top of that, making sure that my stress and all of those changes is not affecting my blood sugars, because you guys know I'm a type 1 diabetic. So there's just a lot of moving pieces all at once. So I've been trying to keep it together. I've been trying to keep my mental in a very healthy place, and really just not feeling super overwhelmed, which of course on some days I'm a lot more overwhelmed than others. But yeah, I wanted to get on here and share that with you guys because there's so many reasons as to why it's difficult to get on and film. Even right now, it's Sunday morning, and I'm hoping that I'd also be able to post this Sunday morning, because usually my Saturdays are clean, lesson plan, groceries. Sunday is a day of rest, usually, where I'd go to church, hang out with my husband, but I decided to stay home today, so that's why I am filming. Okay, so I've been talking for a really long time, so let me actually get to the second half of this, which is teaching middle school. So I mentioned in my previous video, because I don't want to be repetitive, that I learned so much about how these 6th graders are sponges, and when it really comes to teaching 6th grade, you really have to push skill and using the content to support that skill. As opposed to older students, I really focused heavy on content because they came to me with those skills already. So even my approach to teaching has definitely changed. But I feel like I'm a better teacher now because I know how to teach skill versus solely focusing on content. But there are a few things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to changes or things that I've noticed have been helpful with teaching 6th graders, especially when it comes to classroom management and routine and structure and student buy-in. There's just so many things that I had to take into account, especially because my students haven't been in the building since they were 4th graders. So there was a lot of adjusting that I had to do and that they had to do as well. And I tried to be as patient as possible because I knew that it was a difficult transition for many. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about that I noticed was helpful was creating a routine, which is obvious. But even something as simple as having a desk checklist with images is something that I noticed my students needed. Every day, in my mind, it was obvious. You come in, you take out your laptop, you start the do now. You come in, you take out your laptop, you start the do now. But for these guys, every day they would come in and it was, do we need our laptop? Do we need our laptop? Do we need our notebook? Do we need our laptop? And I just didn't understand why they continually asked me that question when in my mind I was like, it's obvious you only need your laptop. But they're kids, right? Again, the repetition, the reminders, the visuals. So what I decided to do was at the beginning of every presentation where I have my do now question, I also post at the top, it says desk checklist, and it is a picture of a laptop. That's it. Desk checklist, picture of a laptop with a little check mark next to it. So what I started to tell my students was, hey, before you ask me what you need, because that's also overwhelming having to answer the same question 20 times. So I would say when you come in, the first thing you do is you look at the board and you look at the desk checklist. You look at the desk checklist. That will tell you what you need for the day. You do not have to ask me. So one, this alleviated me from having to say the same thing 1,000 times. And secondly, it made them responsible and independent. You don't have to ask your teacher. You look at the board, you see what you need to start the lesson. So that's something that I still use, but I believe that now I can slowly start to remove. There are days where they do have to use their notebooks. I like them to write down new vocabulary words. So some days I'll have just the notebook and the pencil out, and then they'll know, okay, we're taking out our notebook because we're going to talk about vocabulary. So I find it, again, extremely helpful just to alleviate how much I'm talking in the classroom and answering questions that you just don't need to verbally answer every time. So besides the desk checklist, I've also noticed that assigning responsibilities is huge. First of all, students love having a role and a task in the classroom. It makes them feel so important, and it also builds their leadership skills, which my school is really, really big on. So I have a student who's responsible for marking the attendance. Now, not the official attendance that gets sent to the main office, but my own personal attendance. So I'll have them mark the attendance and also students who participated during that day. Usually I'll rotate this person every week, but the students get really excited to have that responsibility. And of course, you definitely set the ground rules. This has to be a student who has really good attendance, a student who's responsible, not forgetful, because you want those records to be as accurate as possible. So the last two things that I just want to share that I have found extremely helpful is putting up the directions for what students are going to do and also explaining how they're going to be graded that day. Again, I know that this sounds simple, but having it so that students can always refer back to it on the board, step 1, step 2, step 3. And then I always have at the bottom how you will be graded. An example could be how accurate your text evidence is for roles of women in Mesopotamia. Like, yeah, there might be a quote in your article that says there were 20,000 women in Mesopotamia, but does that connect to the role of women? No. So I'll have explicit instructions and also details on how they will be graded, how well you can actually gather evidence connected to the theme, that your 5 pieces of information are different, how well you can answer the wrap-up question because the wrap-up will ask them to use data from the article or like text from the article. So always having directions posted in steps and then also having how they will be graded is extremely important. Again, it's just a nice way. I've noticed that at least my 6th graders, they ask so many questions, and a lot of it is connected to the activity. Do we have to? Do we have to? Do we have to? It gets exhausting. I teach 6 classes a day, okay? 6 out of 8 periods in the day. So if I can eliminate how many times I'm answering the same question over and over, and also what I started to notice is if I have multiple students asking me the same question, then my instructions and directions are not clear enough. So that was also something that I started to notice. I can do that. Again, I came from teaching 12th grade, verbally explain it once, the directions are on the paper, cool, they're good to go. Sixth graders, they need the repetition, they need the visual. So having it posted every single time they're doing an activity has been a lifesaver. The last thing I also want to say is when it comes to student pacing, I think using Nearpod and Pear Deck are really, really great too, because you can control where students are and then allow them to work on something independently when it's time. But I do find that this helps me because then I know students aren't off task, or they're probably looking at something on the internet or Googling an image of whatever. So I like that with Pear Deck and Nearpod, you can pace the students, and what you want them to be looking at is what they're looking at that time. So those are the things that I've noticed have been really helpful for teaching middle school and have really built a nice routine in the classroom and has alleviated how much I have to answer questions. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I've been talking for a really long time, go figure. But I just wanted to update you all on where I've been, what's been going on, and how teaching middle school has been going. It's growing on me. I really, really love the students. I can challenge them so much more. The other day we had a conversation on the role of women in Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt, and was life better for Mesopotamians or Egyptians? And the students had a really great discussion. Again, using accountable talk, I agree with so-and-so, or I disagree, to add on to what so-and-so is saying. I had them write a written response prior to help support them, and I was very impressed by their conversation. So I will say that I'm pleasantly surprised at how much sixth graders can do. It's not as much as high school, but it's more than what I thought. So that is very exciting because I can challenge them and push them to have deep discussions, and also to write in a manner that they will be prepared again for the rest of middle school and also high school. So that's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all very soon. I will be filming during the December break, so I'll see you all extremely soon. Happy holidays.